Why don't you talk about Quinton Dunbar, because a lot was made, and I know you talked to him after the game.
Yeah,
you referenced like a Chicago play. Tell us about what he learned from the Chicago play and what went down in Chicago, I guess, years ago, and how much he's developed.
Yeah. You know, Dunbar's been kind of getting spot play for the last couple of years, and I can remember being in the Chicago game and them running a route concept. We run a cover 3, and them running a route concept where they kind of send 2 men through your zone. And as a corner, you have to be able to, you know, midpoint those 2 guys, and sometimes almost leave a guy open knowing, hey, the quarterback's going to probably go there, but I can still get there and make a play. And Dunbar didn't see the second guy. He just locked on the first guy like it was man-to-man. And they ran a wheel route. I had to come from the middle of the field, make the tackle on a receiver probably about 50 yards downfield. And so I'm kind of screaming at him during the game, Daddy, you have to see that. It's cover 3, second man through the zone. You have to see it. And so, you know, that stuck with him. But it wasn't a ripping from just, you know, it was trying to coach him up through the process. But obviously during the game, it was a little more aggressive than it probably should have been. We got in the film room. We talked about it. I told him why. And, you know, just little things like that. But him to be able to soak that in, see doing it in a game, and then during the interview, him talking about it, it was just like, wow, man. Like, but that's just how that kid works, man. He's so cerebral. He's so dedicated to the position. You know, we talked about normally like standoffish, like, I don't really want to do this. I'm a receiver. Give me the rock, you know. But for him, it was like, man, I'll do whatever I got to do to make this team. I'm probably not going to make it at receivers. A lot of guys, I'm buried on the depth chart. I'll do whatever I got to do. And that's the attitude you have to have, man. That's totally, you know, I help out Coach at my son's house, and Mickey talks about it all the time. It's that Loudoun County mentality, man. And it's not just Loudoun County. It's today's athlete. You know what I mean? Like, they want it their way. They always have to ask questions about why. No one just does it. And Dunny, from day one, just did it. Jay said, go over there. Oh, all right, Coach. Just did it. And that's the kind of attitude that's going to make him successful.
DeAngelo, I saw you mention that on the postgame last night on NBC Sports Washington, that especially coming from the wide receiver spot, sometimes you get that diva attitude, but there was none of that with Dunbar. He's a guy that just works hard, and he's willing to do whatever it takes to make the roster. And now you're seeing it pay the dividends with the way he played against Arizona, and hopefully does it throughout the rest of the season as well.
Yeah, absolutely. You know, and this was a little test. You know, this wasn't a big test. They didn't get a lot of shots downfield. You know, Dunbar understands from our talks and just, you know, being around the game that you're going to have some highs and some lows. Yes, this was a great game, but don't get too high. Next week, the Colts, you know, Ryan Grant and T.Y. Hill, they might be throwing the ball all over the yard. You might, you know, give up some plays. You might get a little frustrated, but you got to take every play one play at a time and forget about it and keep going. And so, you know, this was a great start, but it's a long season, man, and receivers get paid a lot. And I don't know if we were that great or if, you know, Arizona was just that bad.
Yeah. Well, that's what I wanted to ask you, D, because a buddy of mine texted me yesterday, like third quarter, and he asked me that exact question. He goes, are we this good, or is Arizona that bad? I didn't know what to tell him because I didn't know what to expect in week one. You know, Peterson certainly surprised me. But I thought that, you know, Bradford would play better. I thought David Johnson would get his yards. I mean, are the Skins just better than we think? I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know either. But David Johnson didn't look like David Johnson. You know, I was kind of watching him, and I missed the first, I think, 1 or 2, 3 or 4 plays of the game because I was running out of the studio trying to get into the room to watch the game. And, you know, guys said that he looked like he had a little pep in his step then. But when I watched the rest of the game, it was kind of like blah. You know, David Johnson was kind of blah. Larry Fitzgerald's never going to be a guy to stretch the field at this point in his career. He came out with me. And so, you know, I wasn't worried about him top off. So, you know, it wasn't a huge test, especially for this secondary and this defense. But, you know, because Arizona just didn't look that great. But, you know, I do think this team is much improved. I think the front on defense is going to be able to get pressure with 4. And if you can get pressure with 4 and leave those other guys in coverage, you got a chance to be successful. Arizona, I heard through the grapevine that their game plan was actually to challenge Josh Norman. They felt like they could get some plays on Josh. And who better than his former defensive coordinator to really know, how to beat Josh. And so, but you didn't see Josh get challenged at all. So
nope.
Knowing that was the game plan and knowing they didn't even go at him, I don't think one time, maybe one time in the red zone, maybe Sam just came out there and did his own thing and, they just didn't stick to the game plan. So, there's a lot of question marks you still have, but a great start, 1-0. Great start for them, and, they did what we wanted them to do in the first